Everyone to our webinar, and I'm really looking forward to our guests. So thank you both for coming. My role here is just as a host mentor. I'm just gonna ask a few questions, but the main role today is Chloe and Josh. So I'll hand it over to you guys.
Hello, welcome everyone to our sixth, I think it's the sixth webinar in our Minds in Music webinar series. And this one is going to be about content creation. And I'm going to hand over to Chloe to say a bit more about why we chose this topic and why we wanted to discuss this with some guests.
Well, this year, both audiences and musicians have spent a lot of time online, so it's been kind of like a trend that has become even more important and kind of normal this year. And even though we don't know overly much about it, we'd like to know a lot more.
Great. So we'd like to welcome our two special guests this evening, Tom, that's known as Werkha, and Amahla. Tom, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, hi. I am Tom. I produce as Werkha, and I am checking. I'm not still muted. I'm not. I'm a former BlueJam participant, really, from when I was probably about 13 or something like that. And sort of kept doing that and ended up going to University of Salford to study music and music production, and then came out of that into a music career and into music facilitation, which I've been doing for the last 7 years or so. And now I am one of the directors, actually, of BlueJam Arts. So yeah, thanks for having me this evening.
Great. We're just going to show a little clip of your music to everyone. Great, that was awesome. Can you explain to everyone a little bit about the clip that we just saw, Tom?
I think I can.
What they don't know is that we couldn't see it and we were just booging away.
yeah. And maybe you could tell me what song it was that you chose in the end as well, because I'm not completely sure. But I could tell you about it. Do you remember? Under the Bridge. Cool. Yeah. So this one was called the song is called Favorite Corner, and it was off my last EP that I released in January with First Word Records, which is ran by Bobby Bignall and Ali Gilani from South London. They also have other artists such as Kaidi Tatham and Eric Lau and Tawia signed to that imprint. Really nice bunch of people. We got to lockdown, the first one, and simultaneous to me having a desire to still want to push this material and to sort of effectively tour it, or at least give myself the satisfaction of touring it to some extent. I sort of went about creating these live videos from home And the idea is my housemate who was getting into videography, he would try and film it in one shot, and I would try and play the whole thing live in one take as well, which when you can see the video, it's like a lot of different looping that's going on of like guitar and synth and bass and this sort of thing. So it gave me that, like, you know, thrill of doing a performance basically, which is absent from my life otherwise this year. So it started out as a personal thing, and it still is, but it's been a really useful substitute mentally for myself, and probably a little bit commercially for pushing the record as well.
Wicked. That sounds great. I love stuff that's shot in one take, like 1917 shot in one take, isn't it? It's meant to look like it's in one take. And Birdman, those two films. Stuff like that looks wicked when it's just going round and round and just everything just connects.
Please tell me you're comparing me to Birdman right now, because I would absolutely love that, you know.
It's a wicked film, isn't it? Cool. Thank you very much, Tom. Amahla, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone that's watching?
Hey everybody, my name's Amahla and I am a singer, songwriter and producer based in London. I actually haven't studied music formally, so I just went to like regular state school, and then I went to university, but I did a subject called anthropology, which is like about history and politics and human origins, which is way different to music. And then I graduated and I said, actually, I want to sing. So I figured out how to make that happen. And it's been, I think it's been 3 years now of me still figuring out how I am currently making it happen. But yeah, still learning and loving it at the same time.
Great. That sounds amazing. We're just going to see a short clip of your music.
Dark sheets, cigarettes and beer hold me like I'm really here. Insecure love affair. Watching TV, looking for a mirror high life. This is how it feels. I begin dosing up, puts my mind at ease. Muted cries, scream please. One too many, and I love to reveal that ignorance is bliss, and I love it here. Singing there will be no encore. A state of mind unmatched, under the spell of apathy.
That was lovely. Really, really nice. We had a brief chat about this before we came onto the webinar, and you said it was about kind of the trials and tribulations of the world last year and stuff. Do you want to explain a little bit more about the song and what it means to you?
I mean, if you can imagine, I thought 2019 was the end of the world. I was wrong. Oh my gosh, I was so wrong. I thought I was stressed that year. Didn't realize 2020 would bring us all of this. But yeah, I mean, I just felt really overwhelmed with everything that was going on in the world. I was watching a lot of news, and I had like some personal things happen at the same time, and I just felt like there was a lot of noise, and I didn't really know how to deal with all of that happening at one time. So I said, you know what, I'm going to take some time, prioritize my mental health and self-care, and, you know, chill a bit. So I decided that I wasn't going to watch the news or look at the radio or, you know, get off Twitter for a bit. Don't need any breaking feeds. And it was really good for me for about 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And then I sort of realized that the only reason why I felt things had improved for me was because I was ignoring everything, not because it had gone away. So apathy is is about that little point where you're recognizing that privilege that you do have to be able to switch things off. You know, if you can switch off a problem and it actually just disappear for you, then you're in a position to be able to help. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's that balance of prioritizing your time and yourself, but also being able to recognize that if you do have this time, then you have time to act and support other people's causes. So yeah, that song is just about that state of mind, I guess.
Do you feel like that's a big part of your position in the music industry?
I feel like in my music, I want to be challenged, and I want my fans and my listeners to be challenged. And because I come from like an academic background, I love history and I love politics, and I know that these things aren't particularly accessible to a lot of people. I know I didn't feel like they were accessible to me growing up. You know, being like a black girl from inner city East London, I didn't feel that those were spaces for me. I feel that my favorite artists are people that have been able to take these issues and translate them in a way that everybody can see themselves and can look at these issues and can challenge them and can dissect them in sort of interesting ways. So I guess that is a part of who I am and what I want to do in my music. Yeah, I guess.
Great. So I'm going to hand over to Chloe for our questions section and discussion of the webinar. I'm going to start off.
Cool. I'm just going to do the first question and then Chloe's going to do the rest of them. So what do you consider as content creation? Either of you.
I mean, it's sort of fair. It sort of is what it says on the tin, sort of thing. I mean, I suppose you're like trying to engage your audience, and sort of give an insight maybe into your process, or maybe into like who you are, or what's your like aesthetic as an artist. What are the things that you like? What are your politics? All of this stuff sort of feeds into a narrative of you as an artist. So it's about sort of presenting that to people. And yeah, I mean, I think that's like essentially it. But you are kind of, I suppose, trying to push yourself. If we're talking about being a commercial artist, you are talking about like making money from music. So you are trying to push people to come to gigs, or to buy music, to buy merch, whatever it might be. So there is that aspect of it. But you can do, however you want to present that. I suppose you can do that in a way that is like really in your face, or you can do it in a little bit more of a hands-off way, and just sort of, keep engaging people, I suppose.
Yeah, I'd echo everything Tom says. I think you pretty much nailed it on the head. I guess content creation for me is anything that you output. So you can be at home making a demo of your song that, like, you might not be a producer, you might not be a vocalist, but you're just having fun. You could take that and put it on YouTube. You can take that and put it on Instagram. You can take that and send it to your friend over WhatsApp. It's anything that comes from you that you put out into the world. I wouldn't overthink it, but I think it's definitely just figuring out what are all the little puzzle pieces that make up who you are, and how can you show people who you are in the easiest, in the simplest way. Like I've committed to this like TikTok challenge where I'm going to post every day for a year. Oh, like, oh my lord, we're 6 weeks in and it is, oh my god, it is a thing. I'm going to do it after this talk, but
That is dedication. I am so impressed.
They all
This is what
putting up on
pandemic life
YouTube at the moment.
does. Huh? What did you say, Josh?
Are they all the videos that you're putting up on YouTube at the moment as well?
That's a different thing. This is
That's a
long,
different
man.
thing.
We'll get there.
Wow.
We will
You're
get
crazy
there.
busy.
Oh my god. But what was I saying? Yeah, it's about letting people see who you are in like an organic form. And I've realized, especially on TikTok, that the harder that you work on the content doesn't mean that it does any better. You know, like I can sit down and do a 5 second video of me doing a riff and that get 500 plays, and then do a video of me doing some intricate a cappella thing that took me 4 hours to edit and film, and it get like 10 plays. So it's just about, you know, just being yourself and letting people see that.
That thing about spontaneity, I really enjoy that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think both things that came up is about in both of your kind of like views on content creation was like transparency as an artist, and like how much should you show of your real self, like how much of your real self, because there's a lot of artists that kind of like mold themselves into something, like present themselves in a certain angle or a certain way, like I'm not sure where I'm coming from here. Like, how important do you think transparency as an artist is? In your online presence?
It's like you could chat about that for like hours itself. Do you know what I mean? It's like is it the illusion of the artist? Like it's the illusion of the performance sort of thing. You know, your impression of an artist is going to be way different from their experience of themselves. But yeah, I think the sort of what Amahla mentioned there, the different pieces of the jigsaw is a really nice way of looking at it, actually, because well, so I'll speak from my experience. I suppose I do live stuff, and I DJ, and I produce. So, you know, I produce stuff, and I release records, and you see that there's a record for sale with that record label. So that's that part. Okay, we're not doing gigs at the moment, so how are you going to sort of keep those other bits moving over? For me, like an important thing that's kept me just like ticking a little bit through the last few months, just to sort of keep people listening to the stuff that I'm listening to, is radio shows. So doing stuff for Bellamy or NTS or Melodic Distraction. These are all just like independent radio stations that I suppose really sort of are sort of staple sort of platforms within the scene that I'm in, like predominantly. And they cover a lot of different genres of music, but I suppose you get sort of communities in and around those different sort of platforms and stuff. So at the moment, that's probably like the closest there is to like a club to DJ in, for example. And then the live stuff, you're probably predominantly relying on doing something for YouTube or TikTok or a live stream, a United We stream, whatever it might be. So yeah, I suppose that maybe all the sort of online content stuff feels like it's gone into like absolute overdrive at the moment for everyone, because we're replacing those real spaces with the digital space. Yeah, like I said, I'm going off on one a little bit here, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
So how do you like know where to start, either of you?
I'd just say start with what you enjoy. You know, start with something simple that you love to do, because that's what people love most in an artist. They wanna feel like they're connecting with you. And for me, a big part of that is like honesty and sincerity. You don't want it to come across like you're trying really hard to do this. You just want it to feel and look natural. But start small. So if that is you putting up your phone and filming yourself playing an instrument, or doing a cover of a song and it's 30 seconds long, then just do it. And then I think after you see the reaction the first time, and even if there isn't a reaction, you have to find some sort of consistency, because that will help with your own discipline. I mean, if you look at like Instagram now, so Instagram have these thing called Reels, which they've taken from TikTok, and it's like a 15 to 30-second video. And what Instagram are doing now is they're prioritizing those reels. So if you use them, they'll push your content out to more people, so more people will see them. So like now's a really good time to be thinking, okay, what can I do in 30 seconds, which is like no time at all? Like, what can I do that's interesting? And just start. Honestly, that's the hardest thing, and you'll get better over time. But just starting with something that you love is the key.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That is such a good tip. Like, keep things short, and it gets more views on Instagram. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Cool tip. Anything to add, Tom?
Oh no, I was just waiting for the next question, but I can add to it if you want. Sorry, what was the original point there? You were, where do you start? Yeah, I think it's just yeah, just you're right, Amahla. It's just something you enjoy, something that feels good. Do you know when you just do something like when you play music with someone and you're like, oh, like, wait, that part, that was really fun, do that again. Like, that's the thing, that's the bit that you want, you know what I mean? Because it's natural. And actually, like, I completely relate to that thing of working hard to create something that you think is going to like blow people's minds as content. And actually, like, most of the time, if I put like something up of me playing this synth, and I wouldn't even say it was necessarily something like really good, but I suppose it's just instant and looks organic. Like, that's probably more of an insight for people than something that is like a fully produced video, which is the other thing I've done, because that's probably a bit much more thought has gone into that. So yeah, I think, you know, it doesn't have to be big radio shows and live streams and all or any of this sort of thing. It's just building your practice and sharing your practice, I suppose.
So what would you say like the purpose is of creating content?
I think probably, well, yeah, I suppose we've sort of touched on that in a way. But maybe like just to sort of rearrange that question a little bit, like the purpose of it, or like who gains from it, is an interesting one. I mean, you know, I was actually having this conversation earlier today about, you put stuff online, you garner like loads of likes on a video or an image of some sort, or you garner hundreds of thousands of streams on Spotify. So the point of that is, I suppose, it's all around your like artist identity, like how effective that actually is in terms of trickling through to you, for you to benefit from and be able to continue making your art by, is sort of questionable. But there are set platforms where you can do that better. So Bandcamp have just started a new feature, which is I think they're waiving their fees on, which is like 10% or something anyway, until the end of March, where you can do a live gig through your Bandcamp page, and you can charge people, you know, you might charge them like £2 or £3 to come into this gig. But what you have the whole way through the gig is a sort of virtual merch table of all of your music or whatever it is you have that you're trying to sell on Bandcamp. So you'd be doing that because you're able to generate a little bit of like revenue from that, basically. So in my opinion, like, that is sort of better for artists, it's better to be creating content for, unfortunately, than something like Instagram. As much as we all love it, I don't know what that really yields for us. I'm not sure what we get from that, except sort of social sort of capital and continuing our artist brand. But there are other ways to do that, which maybe hark back to like sort of pre-internet, even a little bit, mail outs, or like a magazine of some sort, or something to sort of tell your story with that way. Sorry, I've slightly changed your question there, Chloe, but hopefully it's like close enough.
No, that was actually quite cool. How you did that, actually, because it kind of shows like a different perspective. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Is there anything you'd like to add, Amahla?
I've forgotten the original question, Chloe. Could you let me know again, please?
What is the overall purpose of creating content?
Oh, okay. I completely hear what Tom's saying in terms of Bandcamp, and driving people to like physical sales, because as artists, that's how we make money. But I think I myself and I know my team also know that. I mean, we're booking shows for May next year, but we're not really sure it's going to happen. It might happen in November, might not even happen in November, will probably happen in 2022. So I'm sort of preparing myself mentally and physically, practically, I guess, for a year where I can't play any shows. And as a live artist who spends a lot of my time doing support acts and support slots for bigger artists so that I can access their fan base, I know that one of the only ways that I'm able to access that many people at one time is through social media. So whilst I can drive people to my Bandcamp, and I have a newsletter, and I do mail outs, and I run a songwriting circle every Friday, like for my fans, like I do these physical things, but I know that in order to reach people that are beyond my circle, I need to be online, which is one of the reasons why I'm on all of these social media sites, and I spend my life on TikTok. And I'm learning what all of the younger, because I'm not old yet, but all the younger people like to do, and how that works. But yeah, for me, I'm aware that this is, especially if you're a young artist, like social media is hard because there are so many other people competing for people's attention, but the possibilities are endless. And again, it's with consistency. If you can do something well and increasingly get better at it, and then once you've gotten better at it, maintain that standard, then you will reach new people. So for me, it's just about trying to harness what I can control, and I can't control anything else besides what's on my phone and my computer, pretty much at the moment.
Cool. That kind of leads nicely on to the next question. So this one's more about how regularly do you have to create content in order to keep your audience engaged, and is it better to use multiple platforms, and which platforms work better for which stuff?
I might let Amahla go first on this one, actually, if you fancy it.
It's quite a long question. Should we break it down?
I'd say if you're just starting out, just go to the platform that you feel is the most organic. So obviously every social media platform has a different purpose. So Twitter is sort of breaking news. It's updates, and it's word based. So if that's something that you're quite opinionated, you like to have like conversations with people that you don't know, that might be something you want to start out with. Also with Twitter, it's really cool because you have that retweet function where you can literally reach millions of people that did not know you existed if enough people retweet your content. Whereas on Instagram, you're not going to get that sharing of something from your feed to stories in the same way. But Instagram is more visual, so videos and things about your face. If your face is in frame, Instagram generally likes it more, and pushes it out to more people. TikTok, I found, is really loud. Like, it's like you open the app and it just talks to you, like there are just people talking to you on your phone. Like the sound is on, it's like, oh my god. But one like really clever thing about it is that once you've done a video, your video becomes a sound. So like if I was to record the last 10 seconds of me speaking, somebody can tap on my video and hear the last 10 seconds of me speaking, and then make a new video from that last 10 seconds using my sound. So if you're a music artist, like the fact that somebody else can take your voice and use that to soundtrack their day or to soundtrack their content, that is like an amazing thing. And that's why you have people like Ash Nico. Do you know Ash Nico? She has a song, she's like a huge act. I remember seeing her in like literally down my road like 3 years ago, but like nobody there. But now she's huge. And she has this song called Daisy, and people make challenges. And this song is charting now all across the world because it's been on TikTok. So it's just about trying to figure out which one suits your personality. And I mean, ideally you should be on all of them, but if you can't create consistent quality content on all of them, then don't stress yourself out. Like, live your life, eat dinner with your family, like chill, don't spend your life online. Just figure out which one is best for you.
What about YouTube?
YouTube. TikTok has sort of trumped YouTube, I think, for like music discovery. Like I see a lot of artists on TikTok doing their 30-second videos and then going, if you want to see the full version, go to my YouTube. So it's almost becoming like a portal for like longer videos. But if you look at all the sites, everything is getting shorter as our attention spans are decreasing. So it's different. I mean, definitely put stuff up. Like I put all my like covers that I do on Instagram up on YouTube, but it doesn't get the same engagement.
Yeah, and just to follow on from that as well, I think covering all platforms is probably really important, and it will change as well. Like it's changed several times already, and I don't think I've been doing this that long, but in my 7-ish years of like doing stuff, I first got any music anywhere through SoundCloud, which people just don't really use anymore, but in its prime was like incredible for like reaching out to people. That's why I got my first like release with the label, was through approaching a small label through SoundCloud, sending them my music, and they went, whoa, don't know who you are, but this is interesting, and then signed that. Similarly, I had a conversation, like a very brief exchange through SoundCloud, much in the way you'd reach out to someone through Instagram or something now. And I sent a message to a producer called Quantic, and I was just fanboying really, because I was like, oh my God, he'll never read this. But he did read it, and he got back to me and he was like, yeah, your music sounds cool, man, nice. And I was like, wow, like that was enough for me, But it actually turns out he'd gone one further and suggested that to the boss of Tru Thoughts. And then Tru Thoughts got in touch being like, oh, Quantic got in touch saying that he'd heard your music. And so, that any platform, I suppose, can like be really important for that sort of thing. If you've got an example of yourself up there, and it's not really about like bugging people all the time with it, but sometimes you're in touch with people, or you have like a bit of an online rapport or something, and you can share stuff that way. And I think that's really great, sort of whatever the platform is, I suppose. Because in my opinion, they are going to keep changing. Reels comes around on Instagram. Now Twitter's got some sort of story function. You see them all sort of going through sort of similar motions, and that thing about the attention spans just getting shorter and shorter shorter and shorter. So yeah, like it's how I think it's how you use a platform is like really really important. That TikTok thing's cool though. I didn't know about that.
It's a bit mad. The whole thing is like, oh my god, I don't know what's going on, but it's cool.
Stuff that people do to different people's songs and
yeah,
awesome. What process do you both go through to decide what to put up and what content and like when creating new content? I think that's more aimed about equipment. What sort of equipment do you use to create your content, and what do you need to start out creating stuff?
probably just the phone, right? I mean, I don't know what you think, Amahla, but really that's probably good enough these days for a lot of it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, just a phone and a pair of headphones with like I actually don't have one, but you know, the pair of headphones that have like a nice little speaker here. Those are really good. It just means the sound, especially if you're a vocalist, is clearer and there's less interference. And those are really cheap and normally come with the phone anyway. But yeah, your phone can do it all. You just have to figure out how.
yeah, definitely. I've torn my hair out over like, you know, what's like a thing that I can use to just like record what I'm doing on my screen so I can share that. I've like been through like strange app searches with that and like other things, just like I'm trying to do something that feels really easy here, but like there's never been any like official training in. It's like you just have to sort of pick it up as you go, which is fine.
Oh, I actually know some apps. So because listen, this year I've just learnt everything about online because it's driving me insane. But the app that I use to like record what I'm doing on my phone is called DU Recorder. It looks like this. It's this.
Oh yeah, that's what I've got actually as well.
And it's really good. I think I accidentally paid for it. But it's like a couple pounds a month, and they have a free version, which is quite good. Also, in shop, I don't know if you've seen it, it looks like this. But basically you can do so much. You can like edit videos, edit photos, like make collages. You have those like fancy videos where people put like a video of themselves and then like smaller videos of themselves in the same shot.
Is it like Acapella?
Acapella is a different app, but yeah, but you could do that as well.
Yeah, is it
yeah, like a similar like type layering of like photos. But yeah, you just need to just have a look on the App Store because they've all got like 5-star reviews, and just have a look like productivity and hacks and stuff. But yeah, everything you can do on your phone.
Yeah, definitely. And in terms of like what you put out, how you choose it, I don't know. What do you do, Marla? Like, is there some things you're like, I'm going to bin that? That's no one wants to see that. Or is it funny? Is it good because it's funny? Or do you know what I mean? Do you sort of how do you curate that? I suppose.
I think it's just trial and error. So like in March, I said that every Saturday I'd do a cover and put it up. So it's the same cover that I shoot on my phone, just me sitting in front of the phone with a guitar, no equipment or anything, and then I'll crop it differently for all of the different platforms, and then on YouTube will be the full thing. So if anybody wants to watch the full 2-minute video, they can do that on YouTube, which is it's been really great. It's just hard to sustain now that you have things like Instagram Reels and TikTok and all of these things which require you to engage people faster. which means like the first 3 seconds you have to do something cool. Like it has to be a cool note, or you have to sing like the chorus of the song so people know what it is. Like it's a lot of like figuring out what the heck's going on. Really. But I think one thing I'd say is that if you're a singer, sing. If you're a guitarist, play guitar. If you're a DJ. Like people need to see what you do. Do you know what I mean? There's no point in having like 50 pictures of you looking nice, like going to the salon or like going to football. Like it's just
My nails done.
like people want to see and they want to hear, and you'll get better. Like the covers that I'm doing now, I sang these same songs like 3 years ago. I'm just singing them better, and I've learned to record them better, and they're getting more engagement because I know more people. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just the practice of doing it will help you figure out what you want.
Engagement have you got from it? Doing like have you got more and more?
It varies on the song, to be fair. It varies with the song. I don't really think there is a system yet.
Every time I get.
I don't know. I just try and switch it up between like, so I sing soul music primarily, and like the music that I love is like Sam Cooke and Otis Redding and like music from the 60s that like nobody knows. So, but I sing it the best because like I mean it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's authentic to me. But I switch it up. I do like things that are in the charts now, and sometimes they do better because people know them, but sometimes they don't do as well because they can see I'm not really connected to it in the same way. Yeah. So it just depends.
I love Otis Redding's song "Try a Little Tenderness." I think it's just like, oh, I melt every time. His voice is just, I don't know how it is.
Yeah.
So do you work with a team to create your content, or is it more like, or just you on your own?
I don't work with a team to create the content. I just figure it out, I guess. you just figure it out. I think one thing this year has given us is time. And we have time to get better at things. And I've definitely gotten better at social media. I did not know what I know now 6 months ago because I was playing shows. Like I didn't have to be online all the time because I can engage with people that like my music face to face. So I think now is just the time to figure out like, what do we have in front of us and how can we use that?
What are the top things you learned from social media, like that you didn't know in March? Really hard question.
I've learned about their differences a lot more. So when I'm talking about like the differences between TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, like they all have different audiences, but the rate at which they're growing as well are very different. So TikTok, you're more likely to go viral on it because their user base is just increasing, and it's hitting young people, but increasingly older people as well, like 18 to 30 as well. There's this whole like community of people that like put up what it's like to date when you're 35. Like, okay, I'm like, cool. I'm not 35 yet, but I'd like to know what it's like to date when I'm 35. It's good content. It's weird. It's just cool. I don't know what's going on, but it's
what
cool.
We all want to know.
Oh gosh,
that Tom.
What have I learned since this year on social media? I suppose just broadly speaking, trust yourself, really. You trust that if you think it's like good or it's like honest, that it's probably going to come across in enough of that way. Also not to expect too much from it because it's just, I think like what I'm really wary of with it is, and this is my like cynical sort of anti-capitalist head going on here, but like you're giving your content to someone, basically. You're giving your content to a company. So I suppose one of the things we've hit this year, I use my video, like those videos that I've done, for example, those live sessions as a good example of this. I've done that because I was driven by my own like desire to feel like I'm performing and to push this body of work and to be able to like do that like the way that I intended to do it before everything got cancelled. So that's good for me. And then I can put that up on my socials, which I have. Now, I could have been a bit clever about that, actually. I could have started a Patreon or a Twitch, like these platforms where people sort of buy into them, buy a membership effectively, and then can access these things. So I could have reserved that content for those platforms so that I'm able to see something from it. And instead of my energies going into building my presence in a sort of on behalf of a company where I won't necessarily see anything directly from it, I could put it on a platform where I can see something directly from it. I'm personally not too upset about that. Like, I kind of don't mind. Like, I've got a foot in both camps, really. But like people have like said that to me, like managers or other people in the industry have said that to me, like, you know, why are you giving Instagram your like precious content, you know, that stuff that you've worked really hard for or whatever? Why are you giving that to people, you know? So I've learned, whether I've incorporated it into my own practices or not, I've learned that is a valid argument, like that that's something to think about. And when we suddenly hit this situation this year where gigs stop, then it's like, oh wait, so our content's going on platforms where they own it, and a lot of like people are being directed to Spotify where we're earning hardly anything from that as well. So not to keep driving this story of like money, but it is important. Like, it's a trade, it's a craft, and I think it's fair that artists sort of have something by which to continue doing that art and, you know, expressing the thing that people are interested in them expressing. So yeah, it's kind of I don't think we necessarily saw, well, we did see it coming. I don't think we did anything to address that. And then when gigs suddenly just got pulled away, and that experience got pulled away, I think that was people went into overdrive creating stuff. But definitely those things, Patreon, Twitch, are like maybe a little further behind like Instagram, etc., because they are paying platforms. But those people that went into that, like Hiatus Coyote, have been doing like live sessions and sort of behind the scenes stuff within that environment, and you sort of trust probably that they would be really interesting to get to know a little bit better, and their music's really interesting. So okay, I can spare $3.50 to go and like watch this thing or whatever. So yeah, I've learned about that stuff. Like I said, I've not incorporated it at all, but I have learned about it. So yeah.
Do you think there's any negatives of creating like loads of content, and how do you keep it new and fresh in this kind of like void of so much stuff? And people might be doing this similar stuff to you. How do you put your like spin on things and keep it unique and fresh?
Well, I don't know. It's a really interesting question. So the very first part of your question, can you repeat that again? Sorry, it was.
Are there any negatives to creating lots of content and putting out content so often?
Like that you can distract yourself from working on something that you should probably just finish. Like, maybe, you know, probably just like sort of obvious bits. I think like, I run the risk of sounding like a proper out of date geezer here, but like, you spend so much time like on these things anyway. If I'm here and I'm like making a song and I'm really into it and I'm like, oh yeah, do you know what, I'll just put my camera there and I'll just film this thing to sort of let people into this process, you know. I've done that several times, and then I might have been in the middle of doing something, and then suddenly I find that my attention switches to like this, and like, oh wait, hang on, maybe I'm just getting distracted because I'm like watching likes rolling, or someone said something, or someone shared it. It's like, okay, so that's right, really valid. It's important. You're circulating yourself as an artist. Unfortunately, this amazing thing that was going on here, that process has been interrupted a little bit. So I think for me that would be a negative of it, which is yeah, like, you know, and that might not be just something you do on your own. If you're in a recording session with someone, if someone walks around like, you know, doing that, it's sometimes really off-putting for people. So just on a purely like music making level, maybe it could be an interruption, possibly. Maybe I'm out of date, possibly.
No, I don't think you're out of date. I think that's definitely valid. It can be distracting. What I've found is like designating certain times of the day to when you're gonna like commit to either commit to making the content or commit to posting the content, because that in itself is like a whole game of engagement of like on the app and making sure that you're replying to people that have obviously, you know, taken time out of their day to interact with what you've put out. So like, so normally for TikTok I normally do that in like the evening. Instagrams and that normally happens in the evening, but it's like after I've spent time with my family. It's like after I've lived my life, you know. It doesn't impede on me going about my day. It just becomes another part of it. I think also just one thing, like, don't put too much pressure on it. Like, not everything is going to go viral. Nothing might go viral, but the most important thing is what you learn, you know. Like, it's the skills, it's the fact that you didn't know how to edit a video and 2 months later you do, you know. You didn't know how to do that lick on guitar and 2 months later, because you've practiced it 10 times in front of your phone, you know how to do it, you know what. And I think it's also, it's a weird thing because I don't particularly feel that comfortable in front of a camera, but as an artist that is pretty much my whole job. It's to be in front of people all the time. And I know like my younger siblings, they don't mind being like out and then like FaceTiming their friends and like just being on the camera all the time, but I find it weird. But it is I found good training for me to just like actually like, this is what I look like when somebody else takes a photo of me, like this is what like other people see. And I think it's just good, I think, for me to get over that hurdle, so that when I have to do like photo shoots again, and when I have to do live streams and going to gigs and then watching like myself back and going, oh my god, how did my hair get like there when it was here, and do I need to use more gel, and like what happened to my outfit, like why is my skirt like this way, and it's like, oh. But I think it's been good to have that like objective viewer, I found, outside of myself.
Do you what do you think about like social media's impact on like mental health, like your own anxieties, or you know, you sort of like, do you worry about that stuff? Does it feel like it has that sort of negative impact on you at all, or?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I mute other people all the time. I mute other people on Instagram. I mute people's stories because, like, it's not because I don't love them or I don't respect what they're doing. It's just that, like, if I'm feeling really down about myself and I can't see that piece of content right now because it's making me feel insecure, That's my issue. It's nothing to do with them. That's something I'm dealing with. So muting them is like, cool, okay. I could take a step away from the app, which is what I would do as well. But just going, okay, I can't engage with that right now is fine. And I find that that's helped me a lot. It's helped me stop comparing myself, I think, to a lot of other people. Like, oh, I got this thing and then they got that thing. Listen, like, it doesn't actually matter. We're both grinding and doing the hard work. And if I need to not see that for 2 weeks to help myself build my own confidence and then unmute it again, then that's fine. But I think don't be afraid to like just set virtual boundaries between you and other people.
Yeah, and that comparison thing was the other thing I was going to mention now as well, because that's probably like an obvious part of negative effects of social media is that we can't start. Well, first of all, we look at sort of numbers and sort of compare ourselves that way, and yeah, I think that is something to be sort of. I find myself like going, like if I worry about it too much or think about it too much, then I need to just like remember that I'm actually really happy doing what I'm doing anyway. And that could I do that without social media? Like, would I still be happy doing that? And the answer is yes, like absolutely. So I always think that that's like a good like reassurance to have like away from it as well, because it does have that effect on everyone, I think, you know.
So how do you think like creating content's kind of like affected like how you've developed as like a person?
Just, you know, makes you find your best angle or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, am I right? I mean, yeah, it's you know, joke about it, but it's a thing, isn't it? So yeah, develop as a person. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard.
Has it changed your career in any way, or your career path? Has it taken you in a direction you didn't expect?
Yeah, well, yeah, because like content, yeah, I feel like I bumbled through the world of like social media a little bit in my time so far. Like I got berated. I did an international tour with a guy called Chet Faker, he's now called Nick Murphy, and he was like, he's from Australia. He's like, hey bro, what's your Instagram? And I was like, what? He's like, you don't know what Instagram is? Oh my god! And I was like, oh no, I don't know what I'm doing here. I've not got anything. I was just like, you know, on this tour, like having a great time, doing all these gigs. So he sort of like was like, you know, you need to do that. I was like, okay, cool. So sort of started with that. That's useful. I think it's just for like when you share stuff, if you're saying you're going on that tour, you're doing that show with someone, it's people like to see that. Arguably for me, like my first like big bits of recognition came from radio and then YouTube actually, because there's like a dance music channel that like put one of my songs up on there, like YouTube, and they have loads of
Spinning Records.
Is it what? Sorry.
Spinning Records.
Nope. Don't know that one, which goes to show you how much attention I'm paying to it. But that was really like, for me, that was like, oh right, like I've just started, and like not that it means anything to my pocket, but there's 500,000 views on that YouTube video of my songs, and that's it. And it's like, you know, undoubtedly that had the effect of directing people towards what I was doing generally, who I wouldn't have been able to hit. So it has definitely played a part. It's kind of like our modern day equivalent of radio, maybe. Yeah, that's what I'd say about it.
For me, so I actually have a Patreon as well. Oh my god. I don't know.
That's good practice.
Everything.
We should all be listening to Amahla right now, okay?
Oh my gosh. But so I started the Patreon in March because I put this thing out on my Instagram and I was like, who like I want to work with like these producers to make this type of song. Who's up for it? And I got like loads of responses from a lot of like people who were a few steps like either just graduated from uni or just graduated from like A levels and hadn't quite like released their like first single yet, but wanted to and wasn't that confident about their songwriting, but wanted to like write something. So I said that I'd run it's workshops. I guess it's kind of like workshop mentoring type thing. But I call it like Amahla Songwriting Circle. And basically every Friday since March, like we get on Zoom and I send out like 5 songs everybody needs to listen to, and then we sit down and dissect them. And that can be like, we've done like songs from the 80s, we've done like all of Dua Lipa's hits, like and because songwriting is like a huge part of like my craft, like that's what I love to do. I mean, I love singing and I'm a vocalist, but how I sing is shaped by the way that I write songs. And because I didn't go to like stage school or anything like that, like everything to me is just about emphasizing the meaning of what's being said. So I've been really lucky to have like developed this community of just like young people who are developing their craft with songwriting as I develop mine, but I'm just doing it in the music industry and they're doing it like that stage before. So learning how to do that, like that's something that I never thought I would have done in my life. But it's definitely something that I'm going to keep doing for the next year, and I want that to be like a part of like my craft and like my career. So like when I go on tour or when I do, I don't know, shows, like I can also do workshops at the same time, and that education and music and sort of education and music be a part of what I am and who I am. So that's definitely been a way that social media and all of my research has impacted my life over the last year.
Sounds amazing. It sounds like you created like your own community and then learnt some stuff and like along the way, and you're all in it together. It sounds great.
Yeah, it's really cool and interesting. Like, so this week we have a songwriting challenge, because like in the UK jazz scene there's always challenges that happens. Like the UK jazz are really good for social media actually, because all of the artists, they just like put out their like beats and their instrumentals and they're like, okay, hop on this, yeah, like duet this, and hundreds of people write songs to these beats and these instrumentals that other people have created, and it might even just be like 6 or 8 chords, but it just has like a vibe. So this week that's like one of the things that we're going to do. Haven't done mine yet, but we'll get there soon. But yeah, that's something that has been cool and new.
Great, cool. I think that brings a nice end to the webinar. Thanks very much to you both for coming on and speaking to us.
Thanks for having us. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been really, really insightful and really, really cool to like just see like everything. There's so much to do and like so much to explore for everyone. Do you guys have anything to plug? Any social media or any projects that you're working on at the moment?
Nah, I don't have any social media really. Nah, no content either.
None of that.
Do you know what? Like, it's kind of funny at the minute. It's like, yeah, there is sort of, you know, this is a kind of funny conversation. We're talking about like sharing stuff and it being organic and all of this. And I don't know, just like a last sort of point, when you're in the process of creating something original, how much of that do you want to share out before it's finished or not? Is that something you think about, Amahla? I suppose I'm asking in the context of, you know, there's a bunch of demos I'm sat on, I'm working on, I'm like, oh, this is like really vibey. People would love a snippet of this, but wait, hang on, it's not finished yet, and they may as well sort of hear the final thing. Do you sort of find yourself in that little area of conflict at all?
Yes, I don't put out songs I'm actively working on, or songs that I think are likely going to be a release, because obviously that's something that you want to come out into the world as you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You want it to people to appreciate it and receive it as you present it to them. But I don't think there's anything bad about, like, if you've written a song and you're producing it, like take away the keys, take away the guitar and the bass, and just put the top line and, I don't know, the drums, 10-second loop. Do you know what I mean? That's not the song, but it is cool. Or just take that drum break that you have, you know, the things that don't make it unique but that contribute to making it cool. You know, you don't give everything away, because that's for you to develop and hone in your own time. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah, great. I don't know, I just wanted to ask, that's a slightly side point from finishing the whole thing. In terms of plans, I think for myself, I keep doing radio until the end of the year. I'm supposed to have a gig. What? Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know, crazy, right? I actually got asked to do 2 gigs. That was really bonkers. But I don't think either of them are going to happen. But yeah, so that, you know, but maybe they will, and maybe that'll be really nice. And then I think the other thing is actually, just, I suppose before we go, like with all of this and that whole thing of like pushing your music and campaigns, and I suppose I'm talking from a very like independent sort of DIY stance here, but like you can't sort of put something out once and assume that everyone's seen it either. I think people need to revisit stuff, and you kind of need to guide people with that. So yeah, for me, I've done a few things this year, like remix wise, I've done a few bits of that, but I didn't want to focus on sort of like pushing that material more until I'd made sure I'd ran the course of my own release, which, okay, it was like nearly a year ago now, but I just wanted to make sure that, you know, people just sort of keep seeing that and they sort of keep being reminded of that. So I'm at the end of that process now. So the next thing for me is, if I do want to sort of create some content around some of the other stuff I've done this year, if there was like edits or remixes, then they might be the next things that I would look to sort of do a live version of, or, you know, revisit in some way. So as far as any sort of plan, that's probably what I've got in the pipeline, whatever it is.
That's one, man.
No worries.
I'm planning to release music next year. Not sure when, but definitely February, March-ish. So yeah, I've spent this year like writing a lot of songs and hating them and throwing them away and writing new songs. As you do. But yeah, next year is definitely going to be a time to release, because I think as artists, when you can't perform, you just have to try and be consistent with what you put out there, whether that's like a song on Spotify or a YouTube video or an Instagram reel or whatever. But for me, definitely that next step is like making sure that I get back on track with releasing music again. And yeah, I mean, normally the songwriting sessions that I do, people pay like £10 a month for 4 sessions, which is basically just to cover the cost of Zoom.
That's nothing.
That's amazing.
So if you want to join, you can like go to my Patreon, which is just patreon.com/Amahla. And if you can't afford it, just let me know. It'll be fine. But yeah, we'll probably do one more this year and then start again in January, which will be cool. And otherwise, please follow me on everything that I've just said. I do every day, which is just at Amahla Music. On all of it. On all of it, but that's it.
We'll all be barraging your TikTok after this, you realise.
Please do. There's some quality content on my TikTok. Use my sounds and figure it out. Yeah.
Nice.
Great stuff. Thanks to everyone for watching. All of our webinars are available to view on YouTube. All other 6 webinars are over on our YouTube channel at BlueJam Arts. And there's stuff about composing, recording music, music and emotions, all sorts of different webinars on there to go check out. And our next one, which we don't have a date for yet, is going to be about freelancing in the music industry. Yeah. Thanks everyone.
All right.
We'll see you all soon.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Bye.